Hello guys, this is Gwent2Town here, and I wanted to make this video to show you guys this list I took round 1 with the last week, and it's basically one of the strongest decks in the game. It's probably the strongest NR deck in the game, and probably the strongest non-Dagon deck in the game. So it's a deck that I really like, and I'm really proud that Tragic Star and me could make it went like more popular, like went viral, really, not really, but yeah, went much more popular. And basically, people are starting to notice just the power of Henselt in general, the power of this strategy. So yeah, let's go on with the cards. Basically, we'll show you every card in the list, what they do and why I chose them. So basically, let's start with the bronze. We have here the Kudwini Sergeant. This Kudwini Sergeant and Blue Stripes Commando are made there, like the Kudwini Sergeant will thin them and will make them stronger. It's basically a great combo. It makes everything in your deck at least 6s, except the River Scout, of course, but yes. And the silvers, but yes. You know what I mean? Basically, you have seen this combo being played in Foltest and whatever 20 times, right? It makes every card stronger. It also thins the cards out of the deck. Basically allows you to start with a card here with the Skatuni Sergeant, and with Henselt you can put, I think it is 38 points on the board with just 2 cards. Yeah, it's 6 times 6 plus 2, so yeah, 38 points with 2 cards. In the old version, which I actually run best, with these cards you could put 45 points with just 2 cards. You see how this can be really strong, and especially when you go second, it can help you take 2 card advantage to the second round, which is really important. And it's basically just could be like a win condition on its own. It's not really the win condition of the deck, but it's also like a hurdle your opponent will have to go through to even stand a chance, let's say, right? So they will have to survive your start, which is really strong. Sometimes even a removal, though, can help you, like, can help them disrupt this strategy. It's up to the Henselt player to actually know against which decks you can actually do it real consistently, against which decks can you actually risk it, knowing that they have like an answer or a really unlikely answer, against which decks is actually better not to do it. So yeah, basically, yeah, the commandos are just there to thin your deck and whatever. I don't really have to explain them too much. The infantrymen are just a great card overall to thin the deck even more and to make you be able to catch up. They're basically a great finisher for round 1, and they are also a great catch-up tool for round 2. When your opponent is getting carry over, for example, they want to keep playing, they play a card and you can play 18 points of value just in a card to put you ahead from the start, and make sure when your opponent is passing you will be ahead of them, or at least at 1 card distance of them, so you're not gonna go down in card advantage, right? This is really key to take card advantage to the last round, because it's gonna make you just have a easier time to play your River Hunters and to eventually win the game, right? So then we go to the Redanian Idol X. They are a really important part of the strategy with this deck, because after pulling the combo off, you need to have some more cards that are actually gonna help you bridge the gap, right? To the, let's say, end of round 1. You want to have some passive power being gained just by these cards being on the board. And they are also a great tool to just buff your cards. They are a great tool to prevent your weather from whittling you down, right? They're a great tool overall to just play long rounds and gain a lot of value from them. This card is also really strong because when you play a strategy like this we are doing here, you're gonna Henselt and you're gonna get 2 minions in every row. This means that basically you can play 1 Redanian Knight in every row, making it so that if they want to lacerate, they actually have to. They have to only kill 1 shield from the Redanian Knights, right? Before, if you had best, you would play everything on melee, then the Redanian Knights would go melee too, and then lacerate could just take all the shields off, right? So again, this is just a really strong card. Over a long run, you can play for 20 points even. And when you have more of them, then it's when it gets really interesting. Because when you have 4 or 6 points gained, just by staying on the round longer, you will see your opponent is really struggling to catch up with you. Basically, they will be forced into a pass or into a really bad situation. So it's a really great tool just to make sure you're winning round 1, which is actually the most important round in the game, or at least getting a big enough advantage, which is gonna make sure you will have a good shot at winning the game later. Okay, so then we have the River Hunters here. They are the finisher of the deck, and they are really key cards, basically. They are the most important cards in the deck, even. Knowing how to use the River Hunters and when to use them is a skill by itself, and it's one of the real, let's say, challenges this deck presents to a player. Knowing when to use the River Hunters. A lot of people just think that the most important thing ever with this deck is just to keep the River Hunters late. Keep them for late because they are your win condition, right? So if you keep them for late, theoretically you will have like your tools to win the game if the game goes late. But this is not always the case. There are many situations in which it's better to just assume, okay, my opponent is gonna keep playing cards, and I'm gonna be I'm gonna be forced to play the River Hunters regardless later. So why not just in this round play the River Hunters? This is basically key when you're going into a long round 2, forced by your opponent. Your opponent knows you're playing this deck and he wants to bleed you out of the River Hunters, because he knows that bleeding you out of River Hunters is basically gonna make him able to beat you in the last round. So he thinks that if he bleeds you, you're gonna use every card and then the River Hunters as a last resort to take the round. What you should do in this situation a lot of the time is actually play the River Hunters before. Shit, I went off. Whatever. You play the River Hunters before, and this is gonna make you able to catch up just with the River Hunters and keep other cards for the last round. Again, when you see your opponent is, let's say, 25 points ahead round 2, 30 points ahead round 2, don't just play the other cards that are not River Hunters blindlessly. Count how many points you need. Sometimes it's better to just accept you have card advantage from the wrong one, and you just want to play your River Hunters there to go up on even cards. It's very often that with cards like Distract you can still take the game later. So it's just very important to know just how to pilot this deck and just basically don't think about your plays on round 2 and just play the River Hunters last or save them, because a lot of the time you will just end up playing every other card that is not a River Hunter, and then your opponent is just awkwardly plus 10 on you, and you have to play 2 River Hunters still to catch up. When the other way around, you would just play your 3 River Hunters and keep like 2 or 3 cards more in your hand. That isn't a great, there isn't a great trade for you ever. So yeah, this explanation has been long. I know this is a really hard concept if you haven't ever played this deck, but when you are in that situation getting bled by especially the Aegon round 2, take into account what are you trying to avoid and what are you trying to accomplish with your round 2. What do you want to do, right? You need to keep enough points to win round 3. But a lot of the time it's just better to keep a card more or 2 and just throw the River Hunters away. They are better like when they are played together. If you get bled and you play 2 River Hunters one round and 2 River Hunters last round, they're really not doing that much by themselves. So it's better to just be really careful when you play them. So yeah, then we have the last bronze card, or the last bronze cards in the deck, which are, this is the 15 core, and you have these add-ons because you run a lot of thinning cards, so you will always get them. So yeah, let's go for the add-ons. You have the immune boost. In the earlier version, which I took rank 1 with last week, I was running 2 water pots, or water bottles, how we call them in Idealist. Yeah, and this card is basically there to reactivate your Redanian Airlax. It's really important to have one tool to just reactivate them and also play around last rates, play around weather in general, just and like nullify the weather for a couple of turns is really important. And they're just great cards because they allow you to play like almost 18 points of value a lot of the time when you use them really well and use all the armor they give you plus the points. So yeah, they are just a really strong card overall, and you need to use them and need to use it the wrong one a lot of the time to just keep on and make sure you're gonna have like enough power to push wrong one as far as you want. So yeah, and then we have the River Scout, which is a really key card and a really new card to this build. It's basically there to make you think more consistently, and early round 1 make sure you're gonna get all the Redania Knights out or all the Kedweni Sergeants out. So this is also gonna make your mulligans much more fluid and much more, let's say, much less challenging, much much less hard, right? Because then before you would have to make sure you had enough cards here to pull like your bronzes, and sometimes it wasn't good because you have to get 20 sergeants. But then if you throw away one K20 sergeant, you just don't have enough bronzes. If you don't throw it away, then your leader is kind of dead. So a lot of the time here, what this River Scout does is say, okay, now I know I'm gonna get my 3 red K20 sergeant out, and I can just leader my Redanian Idlex, and everything went fine, everything thinned perfectly. It's just a little bit of a different dynamic, but everything is salvageable or whatever, right? So this is a really key card also because it allows you to have better shiny targets, and it's gonna allow you to play this later in the game with shiny on these ones, right? This is also gonna mean like more than 20 points a lot of the time, even when it is like the third one or the fourth one you're actually pulling. So really key card on the deck now, and I'm really glad we put it in. It like really helps with the consistency with the marching orders. That is the other new addition, which we're gonna talk about later. Okay, so let's go to the silvers. The silvers, there's one. Okay, let's go for the silvers, and that are actually like undisputable, or they are core to the deck, which are reinforcements. Reinforcement is probably one of the better silvers in the game, probably even the strongest one. It's just a ridiculous silver. It basically is super versatile, allows you to get whatever you want in your deck. It's just, I don't know, it's a great tool. I don't really have to explain much about it. Helps you get the spy, helps you get the river hunters when it's really important that you get the last one, whatever. It just helps you do everything. So then you have the Thaler. The Thaler is one of the strongest spies in the game, and it's definitely a key tool in this deck to make sure you can keep card advantage with your opponent, not get bled very far on round 2. It's just a great tool. Again, I don't really have to explain why spies are good in this type of deck, really. It's just a great tool. It's going to allow you to keep card advantage, and it's going to allow you to save your win conditions for the last round. Also going to allow you to force people on round 1 too. It's just a really great tool in general. Really especially broken when you go second. So we have the operator. The operator is really, I don't know, it's not much of a consideration why to not put it in the deck, right? It's just obvious you want it for the fourth River Hunter. It's just really a lot of points basically against every deck that is not in R. And when you play against an R, the operator still has a good, let's say, has a good role in the deck because you can still copy the K20 sergeants after the default test to give your opponent a useless sergeant and to give you a useful sergeant because everything would be at 3. Their sergeant would be a 4 and one at 3, which is really only buffing himself. So it's basically a 4-point play, whereas your sergeant will be like a 11 or 12-point play, right? So it's a great use for the operator in that matchup. Then we have these answers here. They are very important to this. This is basically to make sure you win against dwarves. This deck is very good against dwarves. It's basically probably even higher than 80%. It's just ridiculous how much can you beat dwarves. It's really not like an easy matchup for them at all. It's basically unwinnable, most often than not. And it also has a lot of other good like utilizations. Against Dagon you can clear the board, against Consume sometimes you can rain the middle row to make sure all those Arakas are going to do. You can thunder key cards like boats, you can thunder key cards like Dragoons, you can thunder key cards like River Hunter that is less than 7 points. This is just a great tool and really versatile card, which is what we wanted, why we wanted in this deck. Then we have Margarita to delock your River Hunters, to reset big doors, or to prevent carryover with cards like Neckers, for example. It's just another tool, another answer. And these two silvers with shiny just like do a great pair. They are a great pair. They give you a lot of options on the rest, and they give you a lot of power on the last round. And what more silvers we have is basically only this one left to explain, which is the marching orders. The issue with the old deck was a little bit that sometimes like one odd River Hunter would get stuck in your deck because you had almost enough thing but not too much. Basically what we did is make sure we're playing the River Scout, and this was already enough thing. The thing is, if you kept the best like before, the games in which you don't draw River Scout is like playing the old version but worse, because you could actually get it in bad times or with dicks randomly when you don't want it. It was just really clunky to have it still in the deck, right? So by playing a card like Marching Orders, you're gonna know that this is a River Scout on a stick. And basically in the games that you don't draw River Scout, when you draw Marching Orders, you will have that River Scout. It's also gonna ensure you get the River Scout earlier, thus ensuring you will get a better rest target with Shiny later, which can be really crucial in some matchups. Can make your Dijkstra better because your Shiny will be able to actually pull another River Hunter without even pulling it. And they will pull like the Scout, and then the Scout pulls the Hunter, making you able to actually play like River Hunters with Shiny when you don't have it on the graveyard, right? So it's a great tool. I don't know, it's basically, this is great because it's much better than having just 2 River Scouts, because you don't actually have to commit to having the second one on the deck. When you play the first one, you have it already on the board, you play it, and then your Shiny can get the second one if you need it, because you're thinning every other card in your deck, so you will get it, right? You will get the possibility to play it with Shiny, but if you don't want it, you just don't take it. It's basically like that. Sometimes if you play like 2 River Scouts, the last one is just going to be oddly there without even playing more than 1 point, and that's not acceptable. You get a deck like this that actually goes through every card on his deck. You cannot just go round 3 and just play a Dijkstra for like a normal card and 1 point randomly there. It's not worth it, right? So yeah, that's the reason why I played only 1 copy of River Scout, and also the reason why Marching Orders is so great. It makes the consistency better. It makes it so I can draw the cards that I want when I want. So yeah, let's go to the goals last. This is basically self-explanatory. With a deck that thinks so much, you're basically gonna get always value plays with it if everything went decently like normal. Okay, then here are just 3 strong options on a gold body, really good. The Thunder Pot is just 17 points for the gold, it's really cool. And you have also the Gwent to protect against cards like Coral, or against the tree effect from the River Hunters. You can make your River Hunters take the tree of their River Hunters without taking damage, or taking a Coral shot without even taking damage. And the Epidemic is really cool sometimes. It has cheeky uses, and a lot of people don't really think about it sometimes. It catches them off guard. Even though they know you play Kira, can still catch them off guard sometimes, because we are not perfect when we mix, and we make mistakes from time to time. So then Shiny again, I have just been talking about Shiny the whole video. I don't have to say anything about her. It's basically a great res, and that is gonna help you get the card you want every time. Also, the 4 armor is not actually that bad. It can be actually useful sometimes, especially when you res already in an area like on a long round. Can survive a last rate. It's really great. And then Igni for those matchups in which you need even more answers, you need even more ways to actually kill big units, and it's just a weird way to get points on the board in a lot of matchups. So yeah, this is basically the overview of the deck, and I'm gonna go ahead and pause the video, and then we will do another one in which I actually show you how to play the deck on a real game and how to actually like play X matchups, okay?